Ladies and gentlemen, Florida Man Sports is back. Thank you so much. As always, this time we're going to start ahead of time and say, please like, subscribe, share. We appreciate y'all so much. And welcome back to another great episode here of Florida Man Sports. In the agenda, Johnny Cinco and I are going to go over the NBA MVP. We're going to go over the new hiring, and we're going to go over the number one pick in the draft, the Atlanta Hawks. Furthermore, in football,
Why'd you give it away, bro? You gave it away. It was supposed to be a surprise on who got the number one pick, and you gave it away.
But there's a lot of feedback in that. And then, of course, in the NFL, we are going to go over some breaking news as far as signings goes. But, Johnny, let's jump right into here, Florida Man Sports. Let's talk about the MVP Joker. What's your initial reaction? Is it warranted? And what are your thoughts?
I mean, you can't necessarily say that, this is a complete screwed all. I mean, Joker went, 26, 12, and 9 outstanding numbers. I still don't think personally that he should have won the MVP. The MVP, I feel, should have went to Oklahoma's, SGA. He ended up, 30 points per game, third in the league. He had 51 30-point games. That's first in the league. 53.5% shooting. That's second in the league for shooting guards. Now, Joker had a higher shooting percentage, but most of his points are coming from the paint. I mean, somebody like SGA, he's a shooting guard. He's jacking up points. He shot 50.5. That's second in the league in that position. Now, the guy who had first in that position shot about 500 shots. SGA shot over 1,500 shots. Over 1,500 shots, and you get 53.5%. You lead your team to the number one seed. Those things matter. But with Joker, listen, the guy is an amazing ball player, but I like to call him the giant sloth, because that dude is just so boring to watch. He's the best YMCA player you see when you go to the rec. So he's just that guy, shoots it how you're not supposed to. Everybody who's played basketball knows you go straight up. This guy goes way behind the head. It's kind of almost comical to watch, but he gets the job done. But it annoys me as a fan that this guy doesn't even care. Basketball isn't even his passion. Like, he can care less about basketball. He won the award, and he's like, all right, great, whatever. He'd much rather be in Serbia, be racing horses. He doesn't give a damn. But this third MVP has solidified him as one of the greatest big men in the history of the NBA. But this season, I'm sorry, it should have went to SGA.
I just think about the amount of time, Johnny, that it took him. He's been an elite center for only a handful of years. I'm saying only because you're talking about a guy who was the 41st pick in the draft. You're talking about a guy that it wasn't his first, second season, or even third season before he really got himself going.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible to me when they're talking about one of the greatest centers of all time, because you're not the only one saying that.
How can you not, though?
That to me is just incredible that he's done it again in only just a handful of years. So again, we're talking about a handful of years, Johnny. In that handful, 3 MVPs. That's just incredible. The only thing I will say that I completely agree with you on, he got 79 of a possible 99 votes for first. And to me, that's wrong. Okay, give it to him. We can agree to disagree. Florida Man Sports unanimously thinks that SGA should have won it. But that's fine. 79 out of a possible 99? That to me is also a problem. I don't think that, I think SGA deserved more respect. Going back to this year, not only did he have an MVP type season, Johnny, but last year he had 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He actually had a better season this year. So the question, to your point, I think, Johnny, is what else does SGA need to do to win an MVP? Like, what else? You carried your team to the number one seed. Again, congratulations to the Joker, because the 7 is about him. But what else do you have to do if you're SGA or anybody else to win an MVP?
Man, there's politics involved in these votes, and the NBA is obviously pushing. He wants more international play, wants more notoriety internationally. So I don't think this is a coincidence.
Right.
I mean, Jordan could have won the MVP like 10 times, but you get that voter fatigue. You're like, no, give it to other players. Even LeBron should have won a few more MVPs, but they get tired of giving it away to him, so they end up going somewhere else. So I'm surprised that they gave it to Joker. Joker had a great season when I said his numbers there, but no, I'm sorry. This year was SGA. Just like maybe Chet should have got some more, some first place Rookie of the Year votes. He shouldn't have won it. We should have got some votes here, but they want to go national. It's like, let's give it unanimous to the Frenchman. Let's go give it to the Serbian over here because they're trying to expand the game. It's not a coincidence. This is a bunch of nonsense.
Here at Florida Man Sports, Johnny, we're going to switch gears, talking about MVPs. Let's talk about the hiring now because it's so funny. The Lakers fired Vogel, and just a few hours later, we hear that the Suns hire Mike Budenholzer as coach. Probably butchered his last name.
No,
that's all right.
Budenholzer.
What are your thoughts on this?
Listen, he's a good coach. He won the championship with the Bucks in but then the following year, what happened? He got upset by the Heat in the first round, and they got rid of him. So you win the championship. The Bucks haven't won a championship since Kareem was Will Alcindor, and all of a sudden now their coach wins them a championship. One bad year, gets swept in the first round, and they went and replaced him. It's funny because he's replacing what? He's replacing Vogel, who got upset in the first round. So it's a very similar situation that they had here, but it confirms a couple things that I already knew that any basketball fans knew, because a lot of people are like, but Vogel, he's a championship coach. You gave him 1 year. Let's be perfectly clear. No basketball fan respects that 2020 championship. That Lakers championship is worth maybe half. Nobody respects it. Nobody that loves the game in the game. That championship in the bubble was a joke. Look at the rules and players opting out, teams opting out. It was a joke. I get it. NBA did. They handled the situation the best they could, but that is a fake champ, and nobody respects it. And this confirms it because they got rid of this championship, quote-unquote championship coach after a year. And this also confirms something that Cris and I agree with, that Suns, with this move, they're not changing any players. They're keeping Durant, they're keeping Beal, they're keeping Booker. These players are staying intact, because if they were going to make a move, they would have maybe held on to this coach and made a move, but they were like, no, we're going to run it back. We're changing the coach and see if that helps. I don't know if it will, Cris. You tell me.
Well, I mean, I think starting there, Johnny, the Suns, what move are you going to make? You can't get rid of Beal. You can't
get rid of Beal. That's for damn sure.
No clause there on the contract.
You ain't getting rid of Beal.
You're not going to do better than Booker in his prime. And then, of course, you got Durant, who has this win now mentality. So the only thing that you can do, I guess, is fire the coach.
No, they could have got rid of Durant, bro. They could have maybe all right, Durant. They gave him the farm for him. They could have made a move and got rid of him.
No, I just think, again, like I mentioned earlier, this move is kind of more of a knee-jerk reaction because, again, the Lakers fired Ham, and so the Suns here are quick to go, here, Vogel's fired, and we're taking this guy off the table in the new coach, Budenholzer. Yeah, and Budenholzer to take him out so the Lakers can't get him. But I think the bigger question, or the biggest thing, here is, Johnny, you're talking about 3 coaches in 3 years from the Phoenix Suns. I mean, I think that's the first story, talking about the owner. This is under the new ownership that you've got 3 coaches in 3 years. And then the other part, I know you want to beat up on Vogel, Johnny, you're talking about a guy in wins. 49 wins this year, the 6th seed. Maybe he's not the most elite best coach out there. Okay, I'll give you that. But a championship is still a champion. He's a champion.
That's not a champion.
49 wins, a very good defensive effort from a non-defensive team, and he gets fired. So the leash is short in Phoenix. I like the hire, and they are going to run it back. But again, here's the way I see it. This coach and Vogel, they're one and the same. I don't think one is better than.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see that. I don't see that much different. I like Vogel when he was the Pacers coach. He was OKC's coach, I think, for a while. He was a good coach, but I don't see that much difference in this coach and the old Bucks coach. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see if this is going to work out or not work out. But
with not a very healthy roster, too, just thinking about it out loud, Johnny, they won so many games. So if they have a healthy roster this coming season and they win more games, we're going to go back, oh, it was a great move. But they have to play healthy basketball. So do you think, let's go ahead. Do you see them winning more than 49 games next season?
No, we got another year. Durant's another year older. Beal is the most overrated player in basketball. He got this inflated contract from Washington, and they're stuck with it. I don't know how that guy got a no trade clause, but he got it. Good for him. He worked it out. But they were all in this year. They gave up the farm to go ahead and get Durant and Beal, and obviously going to complement Booker, and it didn't work out. So somebody has to be to blame. So they obviously went ahead and chose to go ahead and blame the coach. I personally would have just traded Durant. I mean, there's ideas. I mean, for me, Durant next year to New York. In New York, maybe would have been a good,
my next year,
like that, possibly. But Durant's always down to go somewhere else because that fool's never happy. It's always something that he tries. I don't think that guy's ever been happy in any place he's been. That's why he keeps going. That's why he's really the hired gun, the hired assassin. That's what he's gonna be known for. He hasn't really cemented himself.
And you got 2 championships, right?
Yeah, 2 championships with Golden State. 2 MVPs, Finals MVPs. So it's his. We talked about his legacy previously, but we're not gonna get into any of that. But I feel that the Suns would have been better served by just saying it didn't work out with Durant. Let's go ahead and get some of those draft picks back that we gave up and move on from Durant and build around Beal and Booker and see what we can work out from there, because it didn't work out. They're not better than the Minnesota. They're not better than Denver. They're not better than OKC. So at very best, I see the Phoenix Suns at about a 5 seed next year. Is that going to be good enough to go ahead and win a championship? That's why you assembled this team. I don't think so. Bringing on the old Bucks coach, who's basically the same coach as Vogel. I see them as exactly the same guys, like you said. So I don't see this as very much like a drastic, but prove me wrong.
Talking about those first round picks, Tiny, they get a first round pick this year's draft, but to your point, 6 years without a first round pick going forward. So that's a huge outlier. They're gambling. Yeah, they're gambling on weight right now. Yep. Speaking of first round picks, though, Johnny, here in Florida Man Sports, the Hawks, they pull the impossible, the improbable, 3% chance. They have the number 1 pick in the draft. Quick initial reaction, and what do the Hawks do, more importantly?
With the Hawks, like you mentioned, 3% chance to get that first-round pick. The Wizards, Rockets, Spurs, followed by the worst team in the NBA, the Pistons, round out that top 5. The fifth worst odds of all time to get the number 1 pick. You know who was the number 1, Chris? Like the team who had the worst odds to get the number 1 pick? It was the Orlando Magic. In 1993, they get that pick, and we all know what they did with that 93 pick. And it worked out for a little bit, and then they screwed it up in free agency, the usual. With the Hawks, it's unfortunate they got the number 1 pick. It's not a great season for the draft season, not like last year with Wemby. There's no immediate. The names that people are throwing out, another damn French invasion of what we got. Alex Starr, whoever, that doesn't sound like a very French name, and Zachary Rosachir. That's another French name that is coming up as possibly
be an international.
That's it's a French invasion. I'm saying that they're not Wemby. It's just a bunch of fake Tony Parkers that are coming in here, and they're like, all right, those are maybe the top picks. As a kid out of Kentucky that they're talking about maybe will be the number 1 pick. It's not a sure thing. But one thing I can guarantee you, because this is an Atlanta team, they're going to screw this up. So guaranteed, no matter what, Atlanta teams screw up everything, with the exception, of course, of the great Atlanta Braves, who figure things out. But outside of baseball, Atlanta sports, you guys screw everything up. And I can guarantee you that Atlanta Hawks will somehow screw this whole thing up, and it'll be a mess.
So when I ask for initial reaction, Johnny, I don't expect for you to just dump all over Atlanta, man. I'm talking about
why not?
Like, do you see them keeping the pick? Do you see them trading the pick? With Trae Young, is this a rebuild? Do you take advantage of the rebuild? What does Atlanta do from here?
Atlanta hasn't figured anything out. They had Luka. They drafted Luka, and then what did they do? I'm going to trade for Trae. Listen, Trae is not.
By the way, I would have never seen Luka in a Hawks jersey. I'm happy about that.
No, I mean, I don't care either way, but it's on the point. The point is that, and I'm not saying Trae is trash. He's not. He's a good player. But let's be clear. He's not Luka. Luka's gets MVP votes. Luka changed the Dallas Mavericks franchise. Like I said, Atlanta finds a way to make. Doesn't matter what the draft picks, high draft picks, they screw it up. They're going to. So it doesn't matter what it is. If they choose to trade it or keep one of these Frenchmen or do something here, it's going to be the wrong move, because Atlanta Hawks are known to make wrong moves. That's what they're going to do. That's their MO. It's going to continue to be that way. I have no faith in the Hawks and what they're going to do. Now, whether they trade the pick or not, I don't know, but I think the writing's on the wall that Murray and Trae, they're going to be shopping them around. I don't see them surviving this free agency period. So there's going to be some type of movements going on. You had mentioned the last show possibility of Trae going ahead and maybe going to another team. Maybe you talked about, I think the Knicks. He talked about a couple of different teams that you mentioned. That's a possibility. I don't know. I know there's a couple of different possibilities I'm thinking of here, but where do you see Trae going?
So first off, I think I'll answer the question too. I think that Trae Young is done. I think his time in Atlanta is done. I think when you have the number 1 pick and you're going in a complete rebuild mode for the GM, if I have my GM hat on, Johnny, I completely rebuild this team. I could see Murray. I could see him going to Orlando. I mean, it's possible, right? We have the cap space. I could see him going to San Antonio. Let's look at this example. The San Antonio Spurs, they have the 4th and the 8th pick in the first in the lottery. So they got the 4th and the 8th. They could bundle those as an example. They could bubble him and get him. So, and it's not just Trae Young, it's Trae Young and Murray. So either one. I know Murray was a Spur, but both of those guys are available. So I could see Trae Young or Murray being traded for picks, and I could see the Hawks do this come overload rebuild. And that's kind of what I want to see. A lot of people are not happy. They're saying that this draft is not a very aggressive or very good draft. But listen, folks, we just spoke about Joker being in the 41st pick. So don't tell me, look, draft picks are a big commodity. They're a big deal. So again, if I'm the Hawks, Johnny, I'm trading for picks. I'm selling the house. I got the number 1 pick, and I can continue to build picks like this. And next year, look at what Oklahoma City did with all those picks. Look at where they are now because they built from within. So that's what I want.
Of course, that's what you want to see. Yeah. The problem is that the Hawks have been rebuilding for 30 years. The Hawks always make the wrong moves. Even when they get a quality player like Trae, he's a quality player. But they traded him for Luka. That's the wrong move. That's always been the wrong move. Every single time they got something going, it's the wrong move. They haven't been decent since Dominique. So like it's not a thing. Atlanta Hawks are going to screw this up just like the Atlanta Falcons did in the NFL draft.
Last few thoughts, Johnny. The Rockets are team at number 3 where I see them moving around. The Chicago Bulls at number 11. I know they want to move up. So I think this too, folks, this is going to be one of the more exciting NBA drafts I think we're going to see, Johnny, with so many question marks out there going on. And I think that if Atlanta plays their cards right, they can actually have a very, very good rebuild on their hands. I like it.
Of course. Well, you said the same. If they play their cards right in Atlanta, they don't play the right cards. Everybody's playing poker. They're playing bingo. So it just doesn't work out.
Speaking of playing cards right, Johnny, let's talk about the series that are happening right now where the Denver Nuggets, Johnny, are back. You have a series tied against
Minnesota
at 2-2. Johnny joined Stephen A. Smith and others just a few weeks ago.
Okay,
what? 0-2.
What did I say?
Stick a fork in them.
Yeah.
The series done.
Yeah.
Minnesota's winning it all. And so the question that
not exactly
Johnny, first of all, how do you see the series going now? And can your tail go any deeper between your legs as you apologize to the fans about what the predictions were?
Well, my tail's tucked into my sock right now, but let's be clear right now. Okay. I never said that it's going to be a sweep. I said, man, if Minnesota actually does this, they're the favorite to win it all. But I didn't count out the champs. But I did say that, no, the series is done. Whether it goes 7 games or anything else here, it's too big of a hole to dig out of. And, man, did the champions respond. I couldn't believe. Minnesota came in and smacked the champs and won the 2 games in Denver. Denver comes back in Minnesota and lays the hammer down and just boys them in Minnesota. So respect to the champions on that. It's still a series. Now, when does a series begin? Is when, obviously, you're supposed to be when the road team wins. Only the road teams are winning right now. Home teams aren't winning. So this is a series I expected to where it's a hard fought 7-game series. It can go either way. Man, Game 5 is important. Game 5 is really important. But in this particular series, who's the game changer right now isn't Joker. Joker, we know who we're going to get from Joker. It isn't even Murray. Murray's been kind of hit or miss. Aaron Gordon is the reason that Denver won those 2 games there. Aaron Gordon, of course, the former Orlando Magic player, and Orlando, respect to Orlando, we do nothing better than develop talent and trade them to other teams to win championships. Team that Aaron Gordon, Aaron is one ahead and is just the guy went 10 for 10 in this last game here, finished 11 for 12, and defensively has been on point. The rebounds in the paint. Aaron Gordon is the reason Aaron Gordon would be great with the Magic right now. Aaron Gordon could have really helped the Magic right now. But, man, did he do his thing. I respect to Aaron Gordon. He really did a great job. Minnesota shaved a 16-point lead down to 7 points before the half. And then what does Denver do? They're going to 8-0 run in the last 20 seconds. 8-0 run in the last 20 seconds. Just took the soul from Minnesota before the half here. That this Denver team is on a roll. There's nobody better. And Denver really showed their championship pedigree and respect to them to really just, it was a great game. It ended up being like a 7-point game at the end there. They went back and forth. But the fact how Denver went ahead and responded because they're going back to Denver now, Chris, with no momentum. Minnesota swept the first round, then comes into this, wins the first 6 games in a row. They're unstoppable. And then Denver said, all right, that's enough. That's enough. And they went ahead and did what I expect them to split. in Minnesota. And Minnesota going 3-1, going back to Denver. Now it's 2-2 going back to Denver. This is a series, folks.
Florida Man Sports. Folks, if you're still listening right now and you are as mad as I am about Johnny and how he runs his mouth.
What are you mad at? What are you mad at?
He runs his mouth one episode.
I'm still
Stick
staying
a fork in Denver.
I'm thinking about Minnesota.
I think Johnny said something to the extent of, Christian, are you ready to give respect to the Timberwolves? Are you ready?
Yeah, because you've been disrespecting them the whole season.
So how about you start by apologizing to the fans about how in the world, once again, Johnny says something, folks, and the complete opposite happened.
Yeah.
And so what I did say, though, last episode was I'm not counting the chance out. And it's not that I'm right. But listen, folks, if it was the other way around, and Johnny, you and I can agree on this. The only reason why they came back is because they're the defending champs. They know how to play. They play on the
road. They came back because of Aaron Gordon.
No, they came back because they're the champs and they have the fundamental basketball skills and experience to do that. In other words, if it was Minnesota that was down 0-2, I would not expect them to come back. They don't have that pedigree yet. They're building it. Every game they're doing it. So for a team to be 0-2, Minnesota wouldn't have done it. So I'm so happy to see that the Denver Nuggets have stepped up. And now to your point, yes, it's a tied series. So now it's basically a 3-game series. That's basically where we're at.
So basically, it is a 3-game series.
And that's basically where we're at, right? And so let's look at it this way. Last 10 games for the Nuggets, folks. 7-3 record. Timberwolves, 7-3 record. I'm not going to go stat by stat, but I'm going to tell you two outliers. One, both teams are averaging 109 points per game. On the other side, the other teams are averaging 105 points per game. On paper, Johnny, they're very, very similar. So the only difference maker here is going to be the playoff experience. So I know we got a few more games to go, Johnny. I'm sticking with the team that I said from the beginning. That's the Denver Nuggets. You had said it's going to be the Timberwolves. Are you ready to tail between your legs?
I'm sticking
and go flip back to the Nuggets.
No. Listen, I have no problem in the series. I'll make a pick, and then sometimes you see a game or two. No, you see a game or two, and then you're like, no. This is what's happening here. Listen, respect to the champs, but I'm still not ready to go ahead and move off of Minnesota. Minnesota can still win this series. It's a 3-game series right now. Now, what needs to happen, Gobert, the Frenchman, needs to stop being such a soft, player. He needs to stop being the French from the 1940s, because right now he's getting occupied by Joker. Right now it's a complete domination by Joker right now. You're a 4-time defensive player of the year. I mean, start locating your inner Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman. Throw some damn elbows. Go ahead and really muscle this guy. And the Joker obviously has tremendous footwork, and has really good range. But my God, can you do something? You're not going to stop him, as he's the MVP for a reason. But can you slow him down? Can you do something? Because this guy makes you look like a fool every time. The best game Minnesota had is when Gobert was witnessing the birth of his child and wasn't there. So the bigger question is to be asked is, do you have to sit or come off the bench, Gobert? But I don't know if that's the answer, because then that dude's so mentally, the French are known to be mentally weak. So it's possible that he's going to come in and say, you keep me from the starting bench. That doesn't really sound French. It sounds more maybe Spanish, maybe Antonio Banderas. But Gobert needs to go ahead and toughen up, dude. Are you serious, man? Toughen up and start doing something. Foul out, I don't care. But go ahead and toughen up and go ahead and do something. Do something to make this guy scared to drive in. Go and start throwing some damn elbows. Do something on that. But it's going to be interesting going back to Denver. Game 5, boy. 2-2 games, Game 5. The winner of Game 5 usually, I think it's somewhere close to like 80% of the time, ends up winning the series. So Game 5 is of utmost importance if we're talking 2-2s. Going back to Denver, man, if Minnesota can somehow win this game, then obviously they receive all the momentum back, everything else. But trust me, all of the momentum, everything is going Denver's way right now.
It's a 3-game series, folks. It is an incredible series being at 2-2. And so let's switch gears on, Johnny. Let's continue that 2-2 series. Now we're talking about Thunder and the Mavericks, Johnny. This is the one that I said, and I'm sticking to it. This was the series of this round. You were saying it was New York and Indiana. You were completely wrong. This again, talking about the Thunder Mavericks, the best series.
It's not. Stuff. The Thunder and Mavericks are not the best series. You could the best series, which was Minnesota and obviously Denver right now, but then followed by New York and Indiana, because that's a 90 series there. It's great. The one that nobody, OKC and Dallas. It's serious. Like
It's
I like.
two series,
Yeah, I
bro.
get it's a good series, but this is nowhere near as exciting as the New York and Indiana series or the Minnesota Denver series. Are you kidding me? Listen, the great series. Everybody's showing their skills. Congratulations. It's looking good. Both teams won a game on each other's courts. It's looking good. You see, OKC has a better defense. They have a better defense. They showcased it. They made Washington this last game their top scorer, and if you do that, you're almost certain to win. What did Luka had? Luka was held to 18 points, 6 of 20. 6 for 20. Irvin was 9 with 9 points. 4 of 11 with 9 points. So you heard Luka and Irvin to those type of numbers and that defense, you're going to win the game. So it's not a big surprise. A fun series. It's Dallas had unexpectedly got ahead 2-1, but at this point, I expect OKC to take full control of this and go ahead and win this in 6. So OKC is still in the driver's seat. Yeah, I mean, SGA went ahead and had a great game, comeback victory, and really stole that game from Dallas last night. And I expect to continue in that trend. OKC is a better team than Dallas, and they're going to go ahead. They held Irvin, who's been who you were like Irvin and Luka. They have they have this championship pedigree or more. Irvin, 9 points for Irvin, Chris, 9 points in a playoff game, in a very highly contested playoff game. Luka had 18, 6 for 20. I can shoot 6 for 20 in an NBA game, and Luka had 6 for 20. Are you kidding me? No.
So, folks, this is why this series is the most interesting one in all the series in this round. I'm going to tell you why. You actually just said it, and you completely bypassed it. Every team has won
6 for 20.
Every team has won at home and away. Such a great series, man, for both teams. The last 2 games, both games decided by 4 points. So this is just an incredible series. I give the OKC Thunder, because I've been critical on them, their flowers. But again, I got to stick to my point when I say that this team is still raw. This team is still young. So, Johnny, I'll keep this short and sweet. To your point here, this is the game to win. It's a 3-game series again because they're both tied 2-2, and OKC's at home. So it's very simple, folks. If you're, gamblers and this and that, OKC wins this game, they win the series. There's no other way. They lose this game, Johnny, the series is over. They're not winning 2 in a row. They're not winning 2 in a row if they lose this game. So again, to your point, I'm going to stick with my pick in Dallas. They're going to figure it out. They're going to win this next game, and they're going to win the series, whether it's 7 games.
No, it's for you to sit here and say 2 different things. You sit here and you give complete respect for both teams winning games at home and away. Absolutely. And then you go ahead and say, like, well, the winner of game 5, OKC doesn't win at home. And both teams have proven they can win at home, they can win away.
But in the 3-game series, Johnny, what I'm saying is that what I've been saying in previous episodes, I'm glad you brought it up, is that OKC is still young and raw. So I don't see OKC if they lose this series, Johnny. I don't see them winning 2 in a row. They're too young.
What does Dallas have? Dallas has Irving. Irving's the guy who obviously championship pedigree. That's it. Luka hasn't won anything. Luka hasn't won anything. Luka hasn't won anything. So you say Luka, great player. What the heck has he done? Has he won some championships in Europe?
MVP candidate.
No. Okay. You know who else is an MVP candidate, Chris, who should have won the MVP, which we both disagreed on, was SGA. So you want to see him be like, MVP candidate. MVP candidate.
My point to that, Johnny, is when you say, who do they have? I'm literally
who they,
just like a Thunder do, they have an MVP candidate.
No.
Who do they? Irving, champion caliber, Jason Kidd.
That's it. Don't talk Jason Kidd. He's the coach, okay? So you're talking about Irving. That's it. Kyrie's the only guy that we talked about that has that. So you put so much faith in Irving, so much faith in this guy to go and do it. He gave you 9 points, bro. 9 points in the NBA game they're looking to here. And then Luka gave the defense by OKC is far superior. They're this youth that you like to say here. They're the number 1 seed, the youngest number 1 seed ever. This team is dominant. And guess what? Congratulations, Dallas. You got your 2 games. Nobody expecting your 2 games. I was expecting the gentleman's sweep. So, hey, you got 2 games. You're done. You're not winning another game in this series. OKC is winning this in 6.
So it's so funny. The first back and forth that we get on this podcast is talking about this series, but yet it's not the best series so far. Case in point, right? I don't know.
It's not.
Now, I will say this. I gave OKC their flowers, Johnny. I commend them. A young team winning games.
Nobody wants
and on the road and at home. It's incredible. And but again, it's a 3-game series. OKC proved me wrong. Win at home, you win the series. Case in point. Now, let's talk about the most boring series thus far, Johnny. The New York Knickerbockers and the Indiana Pacers. How's this series going for you?
I mean, how the heck are you going to sit here and say the most boring? Like the Knicks in every series has been
the Celtics
on point. Yeah, exactly. Like the Boston. We'll get to the Boston Cavs we'll save for last because that's the snooze fest. But the Knicks were completely embarrassed in Game 4. Obviously, they went up 2-0. Indiana did their thing. They won their games at home, but they did so in dominant fashion. They were the third quarter. They had 101 points. At the end of the third quarter, I think it's like 61. They were up by 40 after 3. They already eclipsed the 100-point mark after 3 quarters. So they ended up winning by 30-something points. It should have been a lot worse because they had their third stringers in there. But even though they got dominated, let me remind you of something, Chris. Golden State, when they won in 2022, they went ahead and lost by 39 to Memphis. The Bucks, when they won the last championship they had there, they lost to Brooklyn by 39. Okay, the Miami Heat in their championship season lost to the Spurs by 36. So you can go ahead and get destroyed and embarrassed and still come back and recover from this. So this was a complete shellacking. But my God, the Knicks are depleted. I mean, OG, that injury to OG has really hurt the Knicks. Brunson has to be the dude. He has to be there, and he just wasn't. But my God, the Knicks shot 8% from 3. 8%, Chris. And the Pacers jacked up 14 threes. They couldn't miss. The Knicks couldn't shoot. So when you have a game like that, you know, you have to understand this is a game. This is not necessarily going to define the series. Can the Knicks recover from just such a depleted bench? The strength of the Indiana Pacers is they have the depth. And the Knicks didn't have it, and they lose one of their prime players. Chris, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen here. I had New York. I had New York in 7. Let me be clear on something here. Game 5, in this particular series, this is the most important Game 5. Now, if the Knicks lose Game 5, the series is over. Period. It's over. No. They're not. This particular. I'm not saying. Listen, I'm telling you right now, they're going to lose the series and lose Game 5. Because they don't have the bench. They don't have the bench. If this game goes to 7 games, Indiana's winning the series. They don't have the bench. They're barely surviving as is. Now, if Indiana actually loses Game 5, it doesn't mean the Knicks are still winning in this. I'm just saying that the Knicks lose Game 5, it's over. Indiana goes ahead and wins Game 5, then it's kind of like, all right, they still have a shot. Listen, Indiana is a favorite right now. Indiana with this team, because of the depth they have, and we saw what they have there, the bench is just dominating the Knicks, and they keep losing players there. That injury to OG it's crippled this Knicks team. Now, the Knicks going to go back to Madison Square Garden, Game 5. I expect them to win. If they lose it, it's done. It's done. Like, are you kidding me? You're going to be down 3-2, depleted, going back to Indiana? Like, no, there's...
So you're saying the Knicks are going to win or not? Where are you at now? I mean, you keep flip-flopping. So
it's not flip-flopping. I picked the Knicks to be... No, I'm not sticking with the Knicks here. I'm not sticking with the Knicks. But it's not... Brunson has to go ahead and try... Give this Knicks team a chance. And Brunson's hurt himself. Brunson's hurt.
Here's what I'll give you.
They're running on fumes. Indiana. I respect who I should have understood, and you should have as well, is we forgot how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. This dude is a good coach. He's been out coaching this Knicks team tremendously. This dude is a championship coach with the Dallas Mavericks. He is the real deal, and he went ahead. And those 2 games in New York, they got robbed by the officials. So still, we're over here 2-2. I'm like, Indiana could have possibly swept the Knicks, but the officials wanted to go and extend this series and helping out the Knicks because it helps ratings, because everybody wants to see the Knicks because the NBA does anyway, more than the Pacers. But this Pacers team's better. They're just a better team. Obviously, the Knicks have better individuals, and with all the injuries, the momentum, everything has shifted towards Indiana's way. I'm sorry, but Indiana's winning the series.
So here's why we're not really seeing this as the best series. I know we're going back and forth like it matters of which one is the best series, but here's why it's not for me, Johnny. You said this already, so it's almost like you answered your own point. But anyway, New York is depleted. So to sit here and say that New York, this is the best series when you have injured players playing, this is not
the best series. The best series is Buda and Denver. This one is the second best series. A great series.
Flip-flop McGee. Now you're saying Indiana's going to win. here's my takeaway. Number one, 18 points by Brunson, 26 points by Brunson, and they still lose. So the outlier for me is no, here's the outlier. He scores 6 and they still lose.
That's not going to do it.
So the outlier is this.
You need 40.
The Pacers have figured out that all you got to do is slow down Brunson because this New York team is depleted. And it's sad. You're right. I give you that, Johnny. You're right. You have to score 38, 40-plus points to have a chance if you're the Knicks to win this series.
Bro, go ahead.
The question is, can it be done? I'm telling you right now, I don't flip-flop here. Florida Man Sports. The Knicks will win tonight. I'm going to say it again. They're at home. The fans are going to will the Knicks to win tonight.
They better?
And if so, Johnny, because it's going to happen, the Knicks are going to win the series. You and I are going to disagree on this because the Knicks are going to win in 7. You said they can't win in 7. They can, and they will. Knicks in 7, baby.
I had the Knicks winning this in 7 when we started beforehand. And then when and they're too depleted. It's done. Brunson averaging 2 points in this series. He gave you 18 last game because that dude is running on fumes. He's injured.
John, that's what I'm saying. And the New York crowd's going to lift him up.
DiVincenzo averaged 29. He gave you 7 points, Chris. Hart, who's averaging 17, gave you 2 points. 2 points. Now, I mentioned previously other teams have lost big. They came back. What I'm saying is that if the Knicks lose this game tonight, it's done. It's done.
They're a flip-flopper.
It's definitely done. But even by winning this particular game doesn't guarantee them the series. Like, all I know is that they're done. I just think that's too much. Too much.
You love pancakes because you like football.
It's too much for the Knicks to recover from. They're too many. That injury, OG is not coming back in this series. He is not coming back in this series, and he's desperately needed. The depth that the Pacers have are too much for the Knicks to recover from. Indiana is winning this series in 7.
He's taking the Pacers because he's flipping. I'm sticking with the Knicks. One thing that we both agree on, Johnny, it doesn't matter in the next round because Boston, Celtics, Cleveland Cavs, we know this series is over. It's a formality, so we do got to go over it. But anyhow, Johnny, how do you see this series finishing up? Are the Celtics going to get it done this next game and be done with it?
The Cavs got their 1 win because Mitchell showed up. Congrats to you guys. They didn't get swept. I still see this as our patent pen and gentleman's sweep. The gentleman's sweep. That's not how I say it. I say it with a little more authority. But Boston is killing the Cavs on the board. 48-32. The Cavs actually had a lead in this last particular game, lost it with 8 minutes, 42 seconds left in the third quarter, and they never got it back. Boston let them hang around for a little bit, said, all right, Cavs, I want you to hang around. But at this point, we all know what's going to happen here. We all knew before the series even started that Boston's going to go and handle the Cavs, and they will. Cavs are shooting 31% from 3. You're not winning any game with that. And you're definitely not winning against Boston shooting 31% from 3s. So the series is over. Whatever. I don't see the Cavs winning this next game here. It's going to be over in 5. And the Boston has a chance to rest Porzingis and get ready for the next round. Now, the Pacers may give them I said beforehand that the Knicks have the best shot to go ahead and smack around the Boston Celtics.
Smack around
the best shot, but not the Knicks. They're too depleted, too injured. It's not going to happen. Indiana has depth, and they have a great coach in Carlisle. Boston's winning this. Porzingis better come back. Porzingis better be ready for the Celtics. For the Pacers. He better be ready for them there. But at the end of the day, we both knew before the playoffs started that the East belonged to the Boston Celtics, but the Pacers will make it a series. The Knicks, they're too depleted. If the Knicks somehow find a way to tough it through, it's going to be a sweep the next round.
Premature Johnny does it again in vintage form. Jumps the series. Folks, this series is not over. It's over. And let me tell you what an outlier is for me.
Mitchell got hurt in the last game too.
So he starts taking up 11 for 25 shooting twice. Terrible. 11 for 25. And they're still winning games. So what does that tell you? Thank you for the votes. What does that tell you? That tells you that this team is they're doing the motions, folks. Make no mistake, they're just going through the motions. Talking about Porzingis, he's actually now day to day. So it's not even that he's out anymore. He's listed as day to day. So there's no real story here. I agree with you, Johnny. It's going to be over next game, and Boston's going to get to rest. But I'm going to tell you something, brother. You guys want to know, Florida Man Sports, what the biggest breaking story of this series is?
What is it?
You want to know? Sure. You ready?
Ready.
which I wish we knew the drum roll. LeBron James
because he was
at
there.
the game.
Oh my God,
Was at the game.
So he's coming to Cleveland.
Okay, and that
He's
is the biggest.
going to Boston.
That is the biggest story in Cleveland, that he was at the game. And here's why it's such a big story. One, history repeats itself. He did this something very similar, and then a month later he went to Cleveland. Right, so this happened before. Secondly, the NBA camp happened. Ronnie did it. Everybody said that the guy's NBA worthy. He ranked number 2 in 3-point percentage.
He's not.
He ranked number 2 in 3-point percentage.
Averaged 4 points to USC.
He had, but again, that's the whole point of the NBA combine, is to up or down your stock. And he,
you can only go up when you're in the bottom of the barrel. You can only go up.
Mission accomplished. You could say what you want on the kid. He did it.
No, it's a bunch of brown nosers who want to go ahead and hype up LeBron's son.
The bigger story I think here is, I'm already painting the picture for you guys. Florida Man Sports. Again, like and share if you can for us. But I'm painting the picture for you now. They're going to draft Ronnie. LeBron's coming home. With a much more better talented team once again like it was before when he came back, to try to win a better. Because let's be real, Johnny. All joking aside, does LeBron James have a better chance of winning a championship with the Lakers or with the Cavaliers?
LeBron James has a better chance of winning a championship with the Hawks than he does with the Lakers. Anyway, because the Lakers are done. But I get it.
And so that's my point. So let's see. I'm just planting the seed now. If you guys heard it here first, I can see that happening.
I just think he was home because he has his home there in Ohio. And since LeBron hasn't been deep in the playoffs in a while, he's like, all right, he got a ticket. He went to the game, and you're reading way too much into it. LeBron still wants to own an NBA team at the end of his career. He's not going to turn down the $50+ million he's going to get from the Lakers to go ahead and accomplish that goal. So he's not going to the Cavs. Like I said last week, that I threw it out there to the Orlando Magic. No one's ridiculous, but they have the cap room. They have something set it up there. Mitchell isn't enough to entice LeBron to come back to Cleveland. So no, I don't see it happen. But it should be interesting on that. But the NBA playoffs has been a lot of fun. You want to see her talk everything you want to say. Like I said, Minnesota, Denver is the best series. For some reason, you're saying the OKC, Dallas.
It is. It's an incredible series. Watch it, folks.
Everything has been on point. Everything is 2-2 with the exception of Boston and the Cavaliers. Everything's on point. Everything's exciting. So we're enjoying it. But let's not forget that the NFL is right around the corner. The NFL is right around the corner. NFL just released their schedule for the 2024-2025 season. Anything you see that you're excited for, Chris?
If you guys are sitting with us now, just give us a chance during the NFL season, because this is some of our favorite, I think, conversations we had last year too, talking about the NFL. But real quick, outliers for me, week 1, the Jets in San Francisco. Week 1 is a big one.
There's Monday Night Football.
They're showing that Aaron Rodgers, they're trying it again, right? They did it last year. We know what happened. We don't got to talk about it. They're doing it again. So I commend them for that. It tells you that the Jets, at least in the NFL's eyes, Johnny, the Jets are still going to be a good team this year, and they're banking on Aaron Rodgers. The other outlier for week 1 for me, before I talk about the Florida teams, is the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns, because it's a week 1 game. Let me think about this. Let me say, both teams didn't do much this offseason. Both teams were very critical on their quarterbacks. So for me, Johnny, huge week 1 game in the sense that whoever wins is going to have the better season and the better quarterback. Whoever loses, I can see them downward spiraling, coach being fired. That's how much I have on that week 1 game about Cowboys and Browns. What do you think?
No, for me, the Jets-Niners, that Monday Night Football matchup, I mean, Bosa and this pass rush, they're going to test that Achilles that
trying to say.
They're going to test it out there and really see. I mean, at the end of the day, there was like a rust surgery. He had something to come back here. He had plenty of time to heal from it. I mean, the only good thing about that injury is that it happened immediately, didn't happen in the middle of the year. So he's had the time to rest, and Achilles takes some time here. So we're going to really test that out and see exactly what this Jets team can do. Let's be perfectly clear. On paper, the Jets are the best team in the AFC East. They're a better team than they were last year. They filled the holes, the offensive line. They filled the receiving. They needed better receivers. They filled the holes they needed to fill. And I'm telling you right now that the Jets are the best team in the AFC East. So let's see if they can pull out this win against San Francisco. That's going to solidify what we need.
It's supposed to be a 1 hour episode. How in the world do you say the nonsense?
Who's a better team than the AFC East?
I understand.
Who's a better team? Buffalo? Buffalo? What Buffalo do? They got worse. The Patriots? No. The Dolphins? No, I'm sorry. No. So please tell me who's a better team in the AFC East.
The Dolphins are the only team in that division that are a proven commodity, Johnny. Who are bringing everybody back on offense. Nope. Added OBJ. So don't tell me.
OBJ. OBJ. What has OBJ done? OBJ done
runs through Miami, whether you like it or not. And believe me, folks, you know these podcasts. I don't like Miami.
It doesn't run through Miami.
They're a Florida team, and I have respect for them. But make no mistake, guys, the AFC East runs to the Dolphins, which is not saying much.
The Dolphins, who did not win the division last year, who had everything for them to win the diviven, who had in their control, and the Bills.
The Patriots will not be relevant for 100 years.
Every team has gotten worse since last year. Now the Patriots are young. They're rebuilding. Drake May, I'm not convinced with. We'll talk about more of that, later on, different episodes there with the Patriots. Are you kidding me? Buffalo, they just signed Miami. Today. They just signed Valdez Scantling. That's replacing Diggs.
Dump Pat Tua is leading this division until Rodgers can until Rodgers can prove that he and the Jets can win and be healthy.
I'm not concerned about the Dolphins' offense. Dolphins' offense is a proven commodity. My concern is with our defense. Our defense is lacking. We lost our defensive coordinator, which is an outstanding defensive coordinator, to the Eagles, and he left specifically because the players were not all in. The players are more concerned about South Beach more than were concerned about the game plan. So it's like, sorry, the New York Jets, who I hate, are the best team in the AFC East. They're the best team right now.
These scheduled dates are not yet posted. They're going to post either today or tomorrow, I believe. I will tell you, we do know who the home and away teams are, Johnny. So we're talking about our Florida team since you brought up Miami. Based on the schedule, quick reaction. We'll go over it in other episodes.
Okay.
I've got the Bucs immediately with about 9 wins. I've got Miami with about 9 wins. Just looking at it real quick. But the Jaguars, unfortunately, man, Florida Man Sports, I see 5 wins. Again, that may change.
5 wins.
That may change. But schedule, who's playing, who's home.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got 5, unfortunately, for the Jaguars.
Listen, I don't have faith in our Florida teams outside of Tampa Bay. That's you better show me something. I talked you up last season there, Jacksonville, and then you went ahead and had a 99% chance to get to the playoffs there with your 8-3 record, and then just collapsed and blew it. I talked you up Miami. It was a point in the season where I'm like, yo, you're gonna get to the Super Bowl. I picked you as my Super Bowl pick in the AFC, and you went ahead and just collapsed. Just your defense crumbled. Offensively, you guys are the best team in the NFL. It's look at the numbers. The first 10 weeks, you guys are outstanding. The last 7 weeks, you guys just collapse and nosedive offensively. But you're so far ahead of the first 10 weeks of the season that you guys end up finishing the number 1 offense in football. I'm like, not the last 7 weeks, you weren't. But overall, you were.
People that listen to the podcast do know why that happened, Johnny.
Why that happened?
Because every time Johnny says something, the complete opposite happened. And that's why they lost. Everybody can send mail to those. That's what happened.
Anyway, moving on from Miami news. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay news here. Now, Florida Man Sports was the first to report the signing of Tampa's Winfield Jr. to a record contract. Check that. We were the first to read that report there. It's the same difference. What are your thoughts of the signing, Tampa signing Winfield Jr. to a record contract?
First reaction is, let's go. You're talking about a move, Johnny, that was expected. We knew. My intel knew.
Your intel.
It did. Okay. So if I could give a higher grade than an 8+, Johnny, I would give it.
Jesus.
No, listen, folks.
An 8+, or you get a team-friendly contract. No, they spent all the money to resign this guy.
It's an 8+ because here's what it did. Number one, from a numbers perspective, it gave the Bucs a free cap of $10 million this season, which they used for the rookie contracts. So, in other words, it actually helped you this year. Number two, he earned this. He genuinely earned it. This is the guy that you won the Super Bowl because of his help. This is the guy that with Winfield, Lavonte David, and Vita Vea, it is your core. It's the reason why they won as many games as they did last year. And Johnny, it's the reason why we're running it back this year. So when you have a pillar, you pay your pillar. And this is not a move where you can say, "Oh, the Bucks are a cheap organization." Your narrative is always, "Oh, the Bucks don't like to spend money." Well, clearly,
I think
the Bucks.
that's the Orlando Magic, bro.
The Bucks have proven, Johnny. You always keep moving down. Proven that this is a place where people want to play, and if you play and you show talent, guess what? We're going to compensate you. I love it. The last thing I'll say, and as to why they did this and do all this, they brought back Jordan Whitehead. So they brought back Jordan Whitehead, who complimented him during the Super Bowl. They brought back the guy who makes this guy even better. And that is scary, Johnny. So great job at Tampa Bay. I love the contract. It's only for 4 years to a 25-year-old young man. A++++.
He's been the best safety in the league essentially since he came into the league. So respect to Winfield. He's the face of this Tampa Bay defense. It's well deserved. I'm not going to get into a whole soliloquy that Chris went into there. It's well deserved. He's the face of this defense. Like had said previously in the Pat McAfee show weeks ago, to where he's like, no, he's the best safety in the league. He's going to get paid like the best safety in the league. So this isn't a surprise. I'm just glad it happened. So there's no nonsense. So they franchise tagged them earlier, and then people were talking smack. I'm like, this just gives time to go ahead and negotiate a long-term deal. It's exactly what they did. Oh, Winfield got paid. Tampa wasn't making it a secret, like I just mentioned here now, which was a surprise, Chris, which I didn't see coming. Goff goes ahead and gets a He goes ahead yesterday. They announced a 4-year extension, $212 million, Chris, the second highest paid player in the league.
$170 million guaranteed.
How do you feel about it?
$170 million. But before, I kind of have to jump in because one thing that you didn't tell me about going back to the Bucks. What grade do you give this, Johnny? I'm sorry, I want to hear it coming from your mouth.
This grade is A-. It's
lucky this is a G-rated show. All right. Anyway, yes, Johnny, you got
rated.
$212 million for $170 guaranteed. So let's do a quick reaction with grades. So you did just grade the Bucks. I'll grade them as well here. This to me, Johnny, grade wise, I give it a C+.
I got a B-.
It's a C+. And here's what you confirmed, folks. This is what you confirmed. You confirmed that Brad Holmes and Coach Dan Campbell have tied their future to this kid. It proves that, going back to the Stafford trade, that it confirms 100% they did not win the trade, but they 100% didn't lose the trade. Okay, because again, you won because they won the trade in the Rams because Stafford didn't win a Super Bowl, so you win just based on that. But it confirms if you're paying this guy this kind of money that you didn't necessarily lose the trade. That's where I was going with that.
Okay.
So initial reaction, why is a C+? I don't like it. Because guess what, folks? Detroit Lions fans. I'm sorry. I hate it. And I have friends that are Lions fans. I hate to break this to you guys. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Goff. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Campbell as your coach and quarterback.
Okay, this isn't about Campbell. It's about Goff.
Right, but they're tied together. I just said it.
Yeah, but
that being said, folks, grade $170 million. I don't agree with it. I think it's over. I don't even have him in my top 5 quarterbacks. I don't even think I have him in my top 7 this year in the NFL.
Who's better, Goff or Baker Mayfield?
So therefore,
who's better?
They're about the same.
They're not about the same. They're about the same. They're not the same.
100%.
Goff is significantly better than Baker Mayfield.
Before I finish my point, I'll bite. You're talking about what Baker Mayfield did in one season in Tampa and comparing it to Goff that's been with them for a handful of years already. So yes, Johnny, I think about them that when you think about it like that, when you think about the fact that Goff has had more time there, the fact that they're almost the same proves my point.
They're not almost.
So you just got my drop.
They're not almost the same.
Just take the hit.
They're not almost the same.
Yeah, the difference is that the Bucks didn't overpay for Baker. So, anyways, that's my take on the deal. I think it's a bad move. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. They're not going to win a Super Bowl.
Maybe.
They're not going to win a Super Bowl. And I'm talking about, $30 million. How about this? Goff is now going to be the second highest paid quarterback. $55 million goes to Joe. $53 million to Goff. So again, C-.
Yeah, that's not guaranteed money, but yes, that's max money.
Again, I'm sorry, Lion fans, but that's my take on it. I don't see this being okay. Now they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Listen, my concern is just like, why now? He gave you one great year. It was a great year. This dude, threw for 4,500 yards last year. Plus, he had a great year. Like he threw for single-digit interceptions, had 30-plus touchdowns. He had a good year, a great year. The problem is this is an overreaction by a franchise that hasn't won anything in forever. And then they go ahead and they go to the NFC Championship. And they're like, hey, we won. Take all the money. Take it. I'm like, relax. They didn't need to do it right now. Okay, Goff, you had a great year. You led us to NFC Championship. Do it again. Show me that you're not a one-trick pony, because this is the mistake that the Rams did when they had him. They gave him a contract. They gave Goff a contract after they gave the number 1 pick, and he led him to the Super Bowl. And then they realized, yeah, you ain't the dude. And they got rid of him, and they won the Super Bowl with another quarterback with the same team. That's a smack in the face to Goff. It's the same mistake Philadelphia did with Wentz. They gave Wentz the bag, and they after one good year, and they're like, man, what do we do here? And they got rid of Wentz.
That surprises me why you gave him a B. Then you should be like E.
Because Goff, it's a B minus. Goff Goff went ahead. He did, because you give him credit because he did lead. Rams trade Goff to the worst, arguably the worst franchise in football. This is a team that was lost. It went 0-16 more than once. They've had a horrible seasons. Their history outside of Barry Sanders is horrendous. And for Goff to go ahead and lead them to where he's led them, I can understand it. I can understand giving him this contract. You could have given him the same contract next year. I know you talk about cap space and things moving up and it's going to cost you more, but no. If Goff went ahead and led this team to the NFC Championship or possibly the Super Bowl this upcoming year, you still could have given him $50+ million. It would have been the same contract. He would have accepted it. It would have been the same thing. He still would have been one of the highest paid quarterbacks, but he's not deserving of the number 2 of the highest paid quarterback in the league. Are you kidding me?
You're making a good point. At the end of the day, the question is this. And again, if you're a Lions fan, you should be asking yourself this question. Okay, you got paid, you got the bag. What was it for? What is it going to do? And talking about cap space, Johnny, when you pay this kind of money to this quarterback, you're basically saying that your team is intact and this is what you're going to present for the next couple of years. Is this team a Super Bowl team? And for me, the answer is no, it's not.
But you can't say they're not a Super Bowl team when they went to the NFC Championship, and they should have won that game. They collapsed at the end. They had a 21-point lead against San Francisco. They had the lead, and they collapsed at the end. So if Campbell would have been a better coach, that's why I'm like, Goff did his thing. Campbell just went nuts, and this is what Campbell does, and it goes on tilt. I'm like, dude. Now, Campbell's going to learn from the mistakes he made.
Is he, though? That's the question.
I'm hoping. What Campbell has to be concerned with, the Packers are a better team. The Packers are a real, legit contention in that the NFC North. I mean, the Bears are going to be there. I still see that team as being a good team. Bears are going to sneak some wins in there. They may be a playoff team. But this particular year is not going to be as easy as it was last year. So in that division. The Lions have challenges. They went ahead and they locked down. They paid a bunch of money to St. Brown. They're going to actually pay a bunch of money to Goff. The core there is set up, but man, with the pieces they have in place there, they're still an outstanding team. For you to say that they're not a Super Bowl contender is ridiculous, because they are.
If you want to argue that point, I know we're looking at time-wise, but if you want to argue that point, it's very simple why they're not. There's nothing on that team that says that they're proven, that they have a deep playoff experience.
They proved it. That's proof.
There's nothing proven. There's nothing there that says, you know what, we can run this team back. Okay, Johnny, let's say this.
Okay.
There's nothing that says, hey, guys, we did this year. This year we won these games in the playoffs. But there's nothing tangible that we can say that we can do it again. There's not one thing out there that says that they can do that. So all they really have is they're bringing back the coach, they're bringing back the quarterback, and they're hoping to run it back. Lions, prove me wrong. If you run it back,
that's the proof.
Listen, if you run it back, and this year, you don't make it to the Super Bowl, but you win some playoff games, guess what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, you know what? This team did it. This team is actually a playoff winning team, and maybe Goff has a chance. But I'm telling you right now, I'm so that's why I said C. Maybe they make the playoffs, sure. But I don't even think they won a game this year. And I'm going to go out there and say, I don't think they won a game.
That's the same argument I had with you with the Bucks. It's where it's like, okay, great, congratulations. You went ahead and won the division, and you won a playoff game. Now you're running it back, saying, you're like, oh, we're proven. So you can't speak out the both sides of your mouth where when it's the Buccaneers, it's, oh, we're proven. Then when it's the Lions, it's like, nah. And the Lions won 2 playoff games, Johnny, not just one.
Johnny, when I say we're proven, I'm saying we're proven because we actually won a Super Bowl. We're proving because we won a Super Bowl.
Are you serious?
No,
that was a different team.
No,
you can't sit here and play off. That was a different
same coaching.
No. Bruce Arians is the coach.
He was the defensive coach, man. Bowles was the defensive coach on that team.
Yeah, but he wasn't the head coach.
Hold on,
he wasn't the head coach.
Guys on
you can't say you can't claim Super Bowl team. That was years ago, bro. That team's done. That team's done. Winfield. So Baker's the same as Brady. Baker's Brady. You're right. Baker's Brady. Baker's Brady. Yeah, sure.
I'm literally
Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield won that team. The coach and the quarterback, the most important, not the same team. Nonsense. You're wrong.
Twitter, find out that argument, but I'm telling you right now, when the Bucs have won a Super Bowl in the last handful of years,
no, sir.
That's what I mean. It's not talking about
a handful of years.
Yeah, it's not talking about both sides of my mouth. Some of the Patriots having that. It's not talking out of the side of my mouth. It's saying facts that the Bucs are a proven winner. The Lions, they had a good year.
How many championships have the Bucs won? They won 2. How many championships the Patriots won? Yeah, exactly. I don't want to hear that there. That's it. We are done. It is over. Thank you for listening to FM Sports. We've enjoyed ourselves here. Now, the next week, we're going to go ahead and actually recap everything that happened in the NBA Finals, or should be NBA playoffs. I'm also going to recap what's going on in Major League Baseball, because there's been some changes happening since the last time we talked about baseball. So we're just going to go ahead and give you guys an update on everything regarding Major League Baseball and the NFL. And if anything comes up in the NFL while this week we're off here, so we will see. It should be interesting. Feel free to go ahead and email us, flmansports@gmail.com. And don't forget that we are available on anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're available with iHeart, whether it's Apple, wherever it's at there, we're available. We're there if you want to listen to us out of YouTube here. So we thank you for listening, guys, here. Johnny, bonne journée?
Why?
It's French.